Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about migraines, getting them service connected with or without in-service medical documentation as evidence. So I thought about doing this one mostly because I have a migraine right now and it really is not fun. So, but I still want to be consistent for you. So in any case, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do so by becoming a member. I appreciate all of you members. That also helps me to find you quicker in the comments. I also created a second channel, if you're not aware. That is a co-hosted channel, so it's more of a dialogue, and we have some kind of deep dives into some subjects. So please check that out. That is at Veterans Daily. All right, so let's jump into this. Migraines. So yes, migraines can be service connected, if you didn't know. Also, you don't need to have something specific that has caused your migraines, right? So I guess an example would be maybe I was a fueler, right? So I'm sniffing JP8 or whatever it is all day long. And now I have migraines, right? So you can kind of make a correlation that your military occupation caused your condition, I'm guessing. Now, you don't need to have that. You could be anything, doing whatever, and the military itself could have zero to do with you having migraines. And guess what? If you started getting migraines during your time in service, you should be able to get them service connected. Now, there's a couple different things here because the burden of proof for the VA requires you to prove your nexus, the link between your migraines and your time in service. What the VA is looking for is not prove to me that the VA or that the military caused this, although that works. What they're really saying is show me that your migraines first manifested during your time in service. Now, chances are you join the military, whatever branch, and guess what? You're a clean slate. No issues with anything. You're whatever you are, 18 years old. And you're fit as a fiddle and you have no problems and you go through MEPS and all that stuff and you're clean as a whistle. So now you're in. And then you start to get migraines. We'll just throw on a whatever. 2 years later, you start getting migraines. But what do? You already know it's a headache or a migraine, actually. So you're not going to run and go get diagnosed for it. You're going to go have a conversation with your medic or your corpsman, and they're going to hand you some Motrin. And you're going to take the Motrin and drink some water and push on. And that behavior is going to continue. And it's going to be reinforced. And that's just what you do. And then you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to buy bottles of Motrin and you're going to keep taking those over and over and over again. And the point is that you're not actually ever going to the doctor and getting diagnosed, and the medic isn't writing any of this down, or your corpsman's not writing any of this down. So there's no real evidence that you were suffering from migraines. So you just continue to take your Motrin, ibuprofen, Advil, whatever, and move on. So you didn't document anything. So now you get out, and then it's not until whatever, years later, finally you go to the doctor to see if they have something other than Motrin or ibuprofen, because you feel like, well, it's probably not good that I'm taking, however many thousands of milligrams of this per day or per week or whatever. So you get your diagnosis. Great. Now, maybe not, but maybe you go, you know what, I should maybe see if I could file a claim with the VA for my migraines. I mean, I've been getting them ever since I was in. Well, remember that the VA wants to see three things for your successful claim. They want to see, number one, that you have your time in service, right? So that gives them the window of opportunity. They know you were good before. They need to make sure that this thing manifested during your time of service. So when did you get in? When did you get out? Then they're going to say, okay, well, are you diagnosed? And you're going to have your diagnosis, and that's great. So you have your proof that you actually have migraines. And if you have a prescription for them, even better, and you can supply that. Then they're going to want to see the nexus, the link between the two, however you can prove that. The problem is that, remember, for most of us, we did not go and actually get diagnosed or get anything annotated in our service treatment records. So now you have to manufacture evidence. Okay, you're going to have to write a statement for yourself explaining why there's no in-service mention of your migraines. And essentially it's the story I already told, right? You went to the medic, they gave you Motrin, you moved on, right? And then you realize, well, I can do that myself. And you go to the grocery store and you grab some there, and you just, when you're in the field or you're wherever you're at, you're getting your Motrin from your medic or your corpsman, and when you're at home, you're going to the grocery store and buying it. So you're going to explain that more detailed than that. And then if you have anybody that you know that knew you when you were in, that could attest to witnessing or knowing of your migraines, right? They would then also write letters expressing their witnessing of you with your migraines, right? During that time frame of service, right? It doesn't matter that they saw you with one yesterday. They need to pinpoint that it was back during your time in service. And even better is, and I'll just give an example, if you had a spouse, right, who you were with before you joined, maybe you were boyfriend, girlfriend, right? Now you're with them the whole time. You've never had migraines. Then you joined, and then it was 2 years later, all of a sudden you started getting them. So they could give that before, during, after kind of effect. Family members work too, like your mother, your father, brothers, sisters, whatever, can write these letters. Then you would also go to your doctor and have them write you what's called a Nexus Letter. The Nexus Letter helps you to establish the nexus. Okay, your doctor would state, it is at least likely as not that these migraines have manifested during this person's time in service. Or better would be, is more than likely that these migraines manifested during time in service. So now you're knocking all that out. I always suggest doing a thumb through on your service treatment records just in case you put in there anything with regard to self-attesting to your migraines, right? Maybe you checked the box that said that, I've had headaches. So at least it's just one more piece of evidence, right? It's a check mark on a self-attesting physical health assessment form that's signed by whoever, a physician's assistant or what have you. But it's a medical form. It's documenting that you complained of headaches when you were in. That's helpful. Okay. Now, your 50% is your maximum, your 0% is the lowest on the rating schedule. So let's read through them here for you, because 50% could be substantial and could push some people to that 100% mark. So 0%, we'll start at 0. 0%, well, let's start here. So VA rates migraine headaches under the 38 CFR 4.124 alpha schedule of ratings, neurological conditions. So what happens is the schedule of ratings are broken down into different books: musculoskeletal, mental health, neurological. This one would be under neurological. You would click on neurological, and then it would pull up. And then it is under diagnostic code 8100. You can control F and type in migraines, it'll take you there too. The diagnostic code includes disability ratings, again from the 0 to the 50% rating of the disability, with criteria based on the severity and frequency of the migraines. Okay, 0% is with less frequent attacks. Okay, it's just you're diagnosed with them and maybe you don't get them very often. 10% rating with characteristic prostrating attacks averaging, and what that means is like you can't do anything. You got to go. They kind of say lay down, but man, I tell you, I cannot lay down when I have a migraine because I feel like my head's just going to pop from the throbbing. I have to sit up. or even stand. I shuffle around in the middle of the night sometimes. It's a good time. All right. So anyway, with characteristic frustrating attacks averaging 1 in 2 months over the last several months. So if over the last several's kind of an open thing here. So several months, let's call that, I don't know, 5. 5 months is several. So over the last 5 months, if you've had 1 in 2, averaging 1 in 2 months. So 5 would give us, 4 months there. So you would have to have a couple migraines within that time frame. For a 30% with characteristic frustrating attacks, right, which is, that's kind of the definition of a migraine, right? Otherwise, it's just a headache, right? A headache you can kind of deal with. A migraine gets so severe, you can't even look at the computer until it starts to dissipate, maybe hours and hours and hours later, which is the point that I'm at now, right? So since about, I don't know, it's been 5 or 6 hours, I guess. Starting to dissipate a little bit, whatever. All right, so with characteristic frustrating attacks occurring on average of once a month over the last several months. So monthly. So if you have them once a month over the last several months, so you get a migraine once a month over the last 4 or 5 months, then you're looking at the 30% rating. Well, I will tell you personally, I have had migraines in some cases that feel like it is half of the month. It's like every other day, or it lasts. It's the residual effects of it. Sometimes it's a multi-day event. However, most of them are usually kind of like a 4 or 5 hour thing, and it's hammered with aspirin and ibuprofen. So anyway, 50% rating, here it is, the 50% with very frequent, completely now very frequent, what does that mean? Well, if they're saying that all the other ones were at the maximum once a month, it would mean probably more than once a month. So if you're getting a migraine more than once a month, right, that would constitute very frequent to me. So with very frequent, completely frustrating and prolonged attacks, again, that's kind of characteristic of a migraine. Can't do anything and it lasts a long time. Productive, here's the key, productive of severe economic inadaptability. Again, it's kind of vague because what's severe to one person is not to another, right? If you had to miss work because of your migraines and you utilized all of your sick time and now you're using non-paid sick time, or you can't hold a job, or you get fired because you can't make it because you have a migraine, all of these types of things cause economic hardship and, quite frankly, inadaptability. So you need to really think about how that fits into. It doesn't fit for everybody, right? Some people it doesn't fit. Other people it does. But I've seen way more people self-segregate out of that rather than going the other way around. So you need to think, do I fit that? Are my migraines causing me a severe economic inadaptability? So number one, you need to think, compare yourself to somebody who does not have migraines. Now, think about, did you lose a job? Were you running late? Are you getting written up? Did you lose pay somehow, some way? Did you utilize all of your sick time? Did you have to take non-paid time off? Those types of things. Well, that's economic inadaptability due to your migraines, in my opinion. So really think about that. Oftentimes, the C&P examiner will be the one to ask you if you believe that there is an economic inadaptability. Now, you can also prove it with things like maybe if you get a late notice on your rent or your mortgage, or a turn-off notice for your utilities, anything like that. If you have non-paid time off on your pay stub, Those types of things could also be utilized as evidence of this economic inadaptability. Now, does the VA always get it right? No, they might screw up and call you a 30%. But you feel as though, look, I provided you pay stubs showing that I had to take non-paid time off, or I'm paid less than 80 hours, right? I've exhausted my leave. I have a turn-off notice on my utilities. You supply all of that. You should feel pretty good going to an appeal. So just to throw that out there. And well, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude it there. I'm going to go try to knock out this migraine that I've had all day. I hope you have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.